off a poll. So here we are then on Tuesday, the 29th of October, 2024. We have Halloween coming on Thursday. I don't know what Halloween looks like on Thursdays. You know, it feels like such a weekend event. It will be interesting. We don't get kids on our block anymore. We don't have a sidewalk, so it'll be pretty quiet for us, which is, really good too. Um, given Halloween, I thought this was kind of fun. We're going to be talking today about beautiful monsters, which I thought was rather fitting. Beautiful monsters are Dzongkhney Rinpoche's. He is the Tibetan master in our book, Why We Meditate. We're on chapter 4, in case you haven't been able to follow along consistently. And Leslie, of course, in Israel has been quite tied up with managing their family and concerns about safety, of course. So she has not been able to put these Zoom links up for us, but I'm going to give it a try. And maybe we can recruit someone else if we need.
Okay.
So don't worry about that part. I'll try to send it out today. So beautiful monsters. What's the point of Dzongkhney's phrase? This is probably one of my favorite chapters in the book. Really, if I was going to cut to the bullet points on this chapter, I would say Dzongkhney is trying to encourage us once again not to let our practice simply be a cognizing or cognitive event. And what he's saying in Beautiful Monsters is that the mind alone cannot heal us. The mind alone cannot heal us. It can, however, with clarity, insight, understanding. In the suttas, words like clear seeing, wisdom would certainly be, let me take wisdom off the table. I'll tell you why in a minute. Good thoughts, right thoughts, would certainly be a part of the path. But Dzongkhney says it is not the whole of the path, because if we can't come to seeing with clarity, insight, understanding, if we cannot allow the mind to let go of the thinking or cognitive reality, truth, however true it is, and drop down beneath the mind into the reality of the body, and the body as it holds our pain, our fear, our confusion, our trauma, our lack of understanding, that the wisdom factor, that's why I took wisdom off the table in those first statements, the wisdom factor could not occur without all three levels of being. We call those sometimes the three realms. Anybody have a guess about what those are? We've mentioned them once before in a previous chapter, and here they are. We're going to begin to work on maybe something called integration, would be, I think, an apt and fairly well-used currently term, integration. The three realms being, anybody have a guess? Write it in chat or come say it. Which three are we talking about? Three realms of being. I know Pete knows, so I'm not going to pick on him. What are those three realms? I'll start with mind. Number one. Anybody have any other? What other parts of our being are essential to cultivating wisdom? Body, sense, and feelings. Yeah, Libby's just written it. The body and that subtle felt sense. The physical body is easy for us to identify with. We're going to be resting in that today to make real contact with the beautiful monsters, which we know abide and sometimes hide there. Does that make sense to everybody? Abide and sometimes hide. We don't always know what's happening. Sometimes we only get what? Maybe a physical, sometimes subtle, maybe sometimes stronger sensation or experience in the body. Sometimes sensation may even be too strong a word. Sometimes it's a wave of experience. Anybody ever have that? You all have, haven't you? It wasn't like a big sensation. It wasn't an ache, a pain, an itch, a burn. It was something, a wave of something, right? Activated in the body. You went, oh, I don't, was that shortness of breath? Was that a slight nausea? Was it even subtler, a certain kind of energy or vibration happening? And the answer is yes. It can be happening really at all of those levels, from the very physical all the way to the subtle, which might be more feeling toned or emotional, all the way then to the strongest, very, very subtle, which even the Buddha himself identified, by the way. This was the first neuroscientist, of course. He even identified this as very, very subtle experience. Sometimes people call this things like intuition, right? I have a strong sense. It isn't even always a thought. There's something known by other aspects, integrations, or confluence of the realms, right? We get this idea, everyone? And you go, I don't know how I know this. I just do, right? Anybody ever say that? I don't know what made me think of that person, but I just did. And then we called that person, and what did they offer? I was just thinking of you, right? How many times has that happened? You went, I'm checking. I just did it the other day with one of our friends in Sangha, Tom. I said, God, I haven't reached out. Now, by the way, I never text Tom. I'm going to tell you honestly, in the 10, 15 years I've known Tom, I've probably texted him twice in 15 years. Tom comes to mind. I get a feeling about that. I reach out and say, Tom, just want you to know I'm thinking about you and your wife. He writes, I just got to emergency. Here at Scripps. Good to see your text. This isn't me. Don't mistake it. Don't mistake it. This is all of us, isn't it? When we, what? Truly abide in the body, ground it, soften it, open to the open space in the heart, allow its experience. We can't be, I don't like that one. I'm going to parse out that. Well, that's unpleasant. That goes over in the do not disturb pile. Don't want to deal with that, right? It means allowing one's whole experience across these three realms: mind, heart, body, and then which other? The just physical body, the feeling toned emotion body, and then even further into the subtle body. This, if you could draw a little diagram between these three, this space is where all wisdom, all love, all compassion, all kindness comes from. That integrated space of being. Somebody might simply call it whole being. Does that make sense to everyone? So Zonkani says the beautiful monsters are hidden in some of the crevices of this kind of architecture. And it would be good for us not to only use our beautiful Western thinking minds, but to actually drop beneath, which Pema does a lot, doesn't it? We use the words. Do anybody remember when we said drop beneath the storyline, drop beneath the text in the head, drop beneath the thoughts into the direct experience, not the narrator of experience, not the storyteller of experience, not even the namer, analyzer, right, judger, but really into the direct experience. These were the first teachings of the Buddha. Very first. He taught mindfulness of body first. It wasn't an accident. It was really with intention. Knowing the body, we will know the path to the end of suffering. I'm going to stop just here for a minute. We're going to get ready to sit silently. Then we're going to move into a beautiful monster practice from there. But I want to just check in. I'll read chat. Just want to make sure everybody's on board with me. Everybody get the what we're saying so far. Any questions about this before we begin? Does it make sense? Can I get nods if you get it and go, if you don't, I don't know what you're saying. Somebody help me over here. Carrie's on, so I'm going to use Carrie as my litmus. She's getting it.
Hey, Di.
Yeah.
When I was reading the section, the monsters are the kind of deep, I'm going to call them scary thoughts, or
I wouldn't say only. I would certainly say also, Robin, but I would say a beautiful monster is anything you have cut yourself off from and that has gone subconscious, unconscious, repressed, suppressed, buried, built into the body, which always knows, right? This is the beauty of our body. It can't lie, right? It's there. I would say maybe more like that. I wouldn't want to frame the beautiful monsters as negative.
okay.
Though it certainly could include unpleasant experience, things you might not feel were pleasant as an option, but I don't think it's only that. I think sometimes we can bury the pleasant because when we recollect it, for example, it brings back grief or sadness or tears, right? So we go, I don't even want the good news because of when it comes forward for me. But it's not here now like that. It can be, we can go into some level of resistance or distress because, like we have been talking about, nothing in its everything in its impermanence, right, can become a source for our suffering. Not by its nature, though, let's be clear. There is no such thing in my mind as a negative emotion. There are emotions that we experience as unpleasant, either in the body, either in the thoughts that we have about them, often with judgment, criticism, condemnation, hatred, loathing. And that's where the suffering is. It isn't in the experience itself, right? I'm glad we're making contact with this idea. Robin, thank you for that. We want to stay in contact. Lynn writes, this chapter reminded me, I got to get this out of the way, Lynn, it's not, of this thought. Do you need a prod? Do you need a little darkness to get you going? Says Mary Oliver. That's exactly right. And the truth is, all these emotions, all these physical sensations are here as simply what? The Dharma, good information. They are not here to harm us. They are here to inform us. Everybody agree? Doesn't make it pleasant either. Okay. We're going to stop there because we're going to talk about this extensively. We will not get through chapter 4. It's such a big chapter, but we will certainly start it. This abiding in the body, making contact with direct sensation. See if you can, in your silent sitting, move beyond just the strong physical sensations, seeing if you can pay attention, allowing, really not analyzing, allowing, softening, grounding the body to move into what we call the subtler emotion, felt, feeling toned body. And then even subtler still, that very, very, very subtle, it might be energetic, vibrational sense. Sometimes we can make contact with it, sometimes we can't. It's not a problem. We make contact with what we have in the moment. So let's prepare to sit, and I'll just be moving right in to the guided practice. So, stabilizing the body, taking a moment to create a supportive posture for yourself. You can lower or close the eyes. If you're doing a non meditation practice, you would have the eyes gently looking forward into open space. I would say for this practice, I'm going to recommend a closed eye or lowered gaze so that we close the visual field as we drop most extensively into body experience. And then finding the breath in the body. And I'm going to ask you to regulate that breath in a way that feels best for you. I'm not a fan of the big, everybody take a big breath because it's never really our breath. But I'd like you to just find contact with the breath in the body and then find some way to breathe a couple breaths that feel opening, energizing, relaxing, releasing, inviting presence. Do that on your own. You might offer that a couple times just to feel the body settling. And letting the mind enter into the home of the body and the mind and body settle down into the seat. And with each out breath for several breaths, letting the body ground and settle. And then we'll begin. As we sit, making contact with these subtle fields, the thinking, cognizing mind, be moving down into the breath space, the heart space, the whole of the body, the emotion and feeling toned body, including body sensations, subtler sensations, and then the emotion center. Oh, I just said that, sorry. The whole of the body, including body sensations, and then emotions and feeling tones. And then that body sensation oriented skin surfaced level. And then beneath those subtler sensations, pulsing, tingling, tightness, numbness, hot or cold. Then even subtler, still deep into the not only physical body, but the energetic body. Beyond those subtle sensations. Often ineffable, indescribable, and known. And we're just going to reside uh, on the interior of the body for a moment within that matrix, within the breathscape. You might include part of the heart space, as I do, this general area, just opening into that experience, seeing if we can simply rest the attention there, seeing how we are. And let's begin with just physical sensations. Can we bring a quality of friendliness, of curiosity, of genuine interest and care? This is the heart's contribution to this inquiry. And be watchful of striving or of expectations, thinking you're supposed to get something, a certain thing, and when there may simply be, to begin, a vague sense. This is often just the way it begins. But we're going to stay and noticing which experiences arise first. For me, it was definitely the physical. I could feel a little twinge on the left under rib. I could feel a little movement in the belly, little air or gas bubbles. Can feel a bit of a weightedness beneath the belly, somewhere maybe more in the upper intestine. And I'm most curious about that. I haven't eaten, so there isn't the weight of food there. And, but I have a subtler sense already, something there. I'm just going to see if I can't rest attention there again, simply with curiosity, care, a wonder, and being watchful of the looking for something or the trying to make meaning rather than just be open, inquiring, curious to direct experiences at those three levels. Just see what's happening in your own body. Sometimes helpful to breathe in and out of that particular space in the body, keeps the attention um, available there. You may notice general feelings of a little more looseness or tightness, a little more contractedness or ease, maybe temperature shifting. And we're just going to stay in contact, engaged with friendliness, and simply letting it be. One of our mistakes in practice is frequently believing we're supposed to be doing something. And the real transformation, the real healing actually comes much more so in the allowing, in the being. If you are using gentle noting or sensations, noticing the tightness, tenderness, and ache, see if you can't drop beneath the word into the direct experience, feeling the very experience there, sensations, energies. And then I'm going to ask that you move one step closer and one step more towards that, what we call interiority, closer to the truth of the Dharma kernel, one step in. And there may be nothing there for you currently based on attentional practice and other things, except something that feels like a space or nothing. But that one move in, resting the attention there, may feel like resting it in a vagueness, open space, don't know mind. I don't even know what she's talking about. I'm not getting anything here. That may all be a part of it, and just resting the attention there. I noticed, as an example, that I moved that heaviness moved from the very bottom of the belly now up right under my heart with a little more contractedness, a little more very, very subtle energetic ache. I'm not trying to figure anything out. I'm simply going to let the beautiful friend or monster, they're actually both, speak, inform. And this mind, as best it can, is going to stay in contact, engaged, and with an essential kindness. You will notice the ever changing, flowing reality of thoughts, sensations, emotions. You're just resting the attention in that general area, letting what comes come and letting what goes go. Maybe other sensations arising in other parts of the body. Maybe for me, I'm noticing they're doing a little bit of pulling from the subtle into the more obvious. I kind of know myself and my own tricks. So, my hand's got a thing going on that doesn't seem particularly relevant. I'm noticing it, but I'm really making a choice here, a skillful choice, to see if I can't reapply the attention to that tender, more achy, subtler area of the body. Looked like nothing was happening there. Very easy to distract, but I have a feeling that that's probably not what needs to be attended to. I'm trying to be honest with myself, and I'm going to go back into that heart space area. We're not trying to create experience, we're not trying to name them, we're not trying to understand them, we're not trying to heal them, transform them. We're not seeking more than to be known, letting the experience as it is, without adulteration by the rest of us, just letting it be. Breathing in, feeling within and around. And then feeling for myself and all those just like me who are wondering what the hell is going on with this thing. And I like answers, I like solutions. I'm noticing a little bit of what is this? Why can't I figure this out right now? Mine. And these also are paths away from the information available here. And so I smile at the knowing, just coming back into that lower heart space. You're going to the area that's most available for you, or one that you sensed had something to offer, and just resting there. And then widening the lens beyond this particular area or spot in the body to rest for a few moments in the whole of the body, simply sitting here, knowing the whole being as it is. Creating a larger space in which to hold any particular area, as well as the whole body, giving it space and room. I noticed the minute I opened to the whole body, that little area beneath my heart kind of talked to me again. And I'm smiling about that. I'm making a commitment not to abandon that experience, even though we're going to now move to the whole body. I can hold that too within the whole bodyscape. And then we're going to offer a little blessing to whatever arose today. May this part of the body, mind, and heart be well. May it be free from affliction, from resistance, from denial, from avoidance. May it be known and loved. May it contribute to the path, the true happiness, ease, and well-being. And may this practice contribute this very day Just feeling once again into that whole body, seeing how we are, and then offering any gentle offerings of movement, stretching, something that feels supportive and caring. Just check in for a moment before we move to the chapter. We have done these kinds of practices, haven't we, many, many times before? This is just a little more of Zonkne's version of um, moving into the body, direct body wisdom and experience, letting it be. This, from the Tibetan point of view, just so you know, is the path to all healing. It isn't anything that we do. It is this really abiding with compassion, care, attention, and then acting. If we are going to take an action, acting in accord with the truth. I'm noticing the thing, I just called it out because it was there for me. I called out some things. I'm very interested and curious now. I want to stay in contact. I'm going to make a decision, by the way, to drop into that area several more times throughout the day and seeing what that has to offer me in the way of wisdom and information. Again, critically, without judgment, without striving for it to get fixed, to go away, to be some other way. This can be dangerous when we drop in. Like, if I could only transform that now, I could bypass what it has to offer me. I think there's a little anxiety in there. I'm a little bit curious about that. And maybe some other things happening. I don't need to know them. I don't even need to label them. I am going to continue with interest and with care to drop in a couple more times today. I would make the same suggestion for you each day as you drop in to those three layers. And again, more holographic than distinct, but and then these three layers, and then resting somewhere in that space, seeing what comes up for you. I'm going to check in before we move on. Anything else we need to say about this? Any confusion? Everything is a beautiful friend. I decided to use that word as well because I think monster on occasion can set us up for believing that there's something scary when often I think it is pained. I don't think it's trying to hurt us. And monsters have, by their implication, on occasion, a little like, "Ugh," uh, right? But I do think they are here for us. Zonkni says in the chapter, that's why I added the word beautiful, often because monster implied coming out of nowhere, appearing without knowing or understanding. That can be the nature. Monsters pop out at us, I think, sometimes. He's also a very funny guy. If you haven't seen Zonkni, I will send one of the YouTube pieces he has done on beautiful monsters for you to also look at. He's quite delightful, really fun and funny guys. He talks a lot about smelly feelings. It's pretty cute. Like, oh, they're stinky. They're hidden under there. They're rotting. He is just trying to find some available way of talking about these things that we have cut ourselves off from, that have been buried, suppressed, repressed, or even unknown. And he is reminding us, like is now happening, of course, in our Western psychology teachings, that these things are essential. Uh, Acknowledging them, allowing them, abiding with them are essential to our well being. and all the trauma sensitive work that we do, this is an essential part of the work. Can I just know by virtue of direct experience in the body, letting the body's wisdom speak with compassion and friendliness? I think we're all getting that. Let's go to the chapter, see what he has to say. I'm going to move through some of this a little bit more quickly because A, it's available to you in the chapter, and I'm less interested in the um, narrative of Zonkni. So he talks here about some of his experience, some of his schooling, some of his training and teaching, and that though helpful, actually did not address or include uh, these qualities of heart, mind, and body that were the acknowledging of feelings. Uh, and so he writes, he was very pressured. He was a Rinpoche early. He comes from a long lineage. And so there was just a very strict structure and order to his life. And as a teenager and a young man, I can only imagine the feelings that must have been arising just by the physiology, the biology of being a young person, and how there was no instruction, no offering of what to do with that experience other than to push it away, shove it further down, to freeze around it. And so he talks about that quite a bit here. He talks about his contact with Tara Goldman, who is in her own right a very successful meditation teacher, practitioner, and scientist. She acknowledged his feeling that uh, emotional patterns were not being sufficiently addressed in the teachings that he had received, and actually started working with her on some of the Western tradition, although she herself is also a Buddhist teacher. So she had a deep understanding as well of how the Tibetans also addressed that. Uh, what the word that's used here is woundedness in the body. Uh, Key words here are valid. These experiences are valid. Uh, they are things that need to be acknowledged. We can't just ignore them. We can't just apply the cognitive understanding called insight into them. That's the Vipassana school. That insight alone might not be sufficient. Um, and that meant the cognizing element. Of course, there's much more to the insight Vipassana practice than that. It also includes feelings, but people often simply intellectualize it, and he's addressing that here. He's saying that in the Tibetan tradition, they often accounted for one's experience by talking about the karmic debts or the karmic seeds. This does not necessarily also place clean understanding on the conditions of the current uh, heart, mind, and body that may be impacting these patterns. And so we're trying to bring lots of these wisdom traditions together here. I think it's just beautiful. And that's what I think he's addressing. The blue here at the bottom, the mind so often judges and tries to control the feeling world. Well, once you're in contact with it, schemas, patterns, relational wounding, traumas, these concepts have helped refine his understanding of our emotional worlds. I remember he was kept fairly separate from that in his teaching. He was dealing with it mainly as a mind issue, as he says here. He realized that while many of us have big problems with thoughts, the root is often more in the feeling world. What I would say is that the thoughts we know frequently are analyzing, but the thoughts that attend to the feeling world are much subtler. I would say he doesn't mean just cognizing that. That's closer to the wisdom factor. but we'll talk more about that distinction later. We need the mind to heal. We just don't always need the thinker. The thinker often is an egoic element designed simply to find a quick solution, a bypass, a way out, um, and very connected to our more automatic pilot um, mind. Some of our issues we can call wounded love. We didn't get the love and respect we feel we needed. We can't even always name these experiences, by the way. We just know that there's an essential uh, feeling of maybe what Trungpa might say is dis-ease. Maybe the thing I made contact with today, is there anything wrong? Certainly not. Am I privileged in all kinds of ways? No doubt about it. Is my world better because I'm safer, I'm eating and housed than many? No doubt about it. And our humanness abides it all. And so something here, um, again, we're not trying to make more or less of it, but I want us to watch both sides as we can minimize because of our privilege status, and we can also reject, like that just shouldn't even be here. And we don't want to do that either. All kinds of anxieties, depressions, and neurotic thinking and judging are happening. We're very in touch with that. Down in the blue, raw feelings and emotions can be overwhelming, scary, and powerful. This is how we came up with the monsters idea. We fear we might lose control. This is very common. So we often suppress, hide, or run away. In some ways, this strategy can be sensible, practical, and functional. It is not always best or most skillful to pull up all our raw emotion on the spot. And we're all very clear about that. I don't think that's most of our problem. Suppressing or ignoring our coping strategies and can help us through a challenging situation. Sometimes we might even choose on purpose with intention to go not right now. That can be very skillful. That is not the same as the more unconscious levels of suppressing, repressing, or even ignoring. Denial resistance, not the same, not right now, can be a very skillful antidote. With our difficult feelings ignored, our minds can stay busy with planning, accomplishing tasks, and we've talked about how good we are at all of that. Our issues may be kept under the surface. This is that down in the body. But what I would say is that there is always an ongoing energetic sense available there. We might just have to stick around for a while to get to it and to begin to understand it with compassion. We can develop unhealthy relationships with the things we don't like, as we know. We can go easily numb. In the West, of course, what do? We get busy, we get tasky, we have a lot to do, and so can stay some distance from our direct experience. We're very good at it. And there is a kind of numbness, I think, that also happens. Our innate birthright, a natural well being on the feeling level, and okayness for no reason can get covered up. This is called the obscurations. It means it's not that it's not always available to us, but we distance ourselves from that integrated area, an integrated way of being. Wholeness might be a word we could use for that other more comfortable hollowness. Better not to feel, says the lizard brain, than to feel distress or to feel discomfort and to feel not okay. And so it's very easy for us to cut them off or bury them. Authentic and distorted relative experience. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. We know that means the present moment conditions and their contribution to how we are right now. They are relevant, as is what the Tibetans might call the more karmic conditions, things that have occurred before, not just in this lifetime even, not just in this body mind, our collective karmic influence. All of these can play a part, and ultimately, we want to investigate those. But just learning how to be in our own bodies, most essential. He says here relative truth has two dynamics: functional, authentic, and distorted, deceptive relative perceptions. We want to see things our way, we want to see them the way we like and want. We may distort uh, even our own experience due to shame, things like judgment. And he's acknowledging those patterns. That exist as well. There's the karmic element he talks about in that next coloring. Learned habitual patterns are what we accumulate from childhood in this life. These arise from our formative social, emotional experiences, our relationships with all kinds of people. These lead to internalized beliefs, opinions, perceptions, um, and even volition, the way we then react and act in relationship. Frequently says with resistance. Beautiful monsters. All of us have some issues, emotional patterns that make our lives more difficult, particularly if we are using these patterns to distance, disconnect, deny, and move away from our direct experience. As difficult as it is, or as unworthy as we might feel, he says, it is important that we begin the process of turning towards our whole selves. Usually, we just wish they would go away, these beautiful monsters. And that's how he came up with the name. He says they're beautiful, well, because they're true, two, because they're present, and three, because they have something they need to tell us that would be important for us. If we think of them as just monsters, we solidify our aversion, hatred, and disconnect. We don't want to do that. He came up with beautiful, and then he says the reasons we just came up with. They're there. They're undeniably a part of our goodness, our true nature, and have something essential to offer us. They may seem ugly at first, he says, but when we heal one, it becomes beautiful. I'd like to change that thought a little. I want you to understand all experience as beautiful, even when they're unpleasant. Maybe, in particular, when they're unpleasant. They're here to tell us something essential. They are always beautiful, even when they aren't what we like or want. Can we begin to understand it is only here towards our happiness, our ease, our well being, and our enlightenment? I'll even go that far. Without them, we cannot pursue the path to the end of suffering. They're here for us. When we heal something, we understand that dynamic, not just within, but also within others. I love that statement. Everyone shares these wounds, not in exactly the same way, not in exactly the same appearance, but we all carry this thing called this human life in its shared experience. And remembering that, we did that a little bit this Saturday, didn't we, when we recollected that everyone we know, whether we like them or not, whether they're in our political or other affiliation, will experience aging, illness, death, loss, and the karmic contributions. And that this makes us more similar than it does separate. Many people don't heal. Why? We're staying some distance from our whole direct experiences, called those beautiful monsters. And we will suffer. We're moving to the next side. He often gets asked, are all feelings and emotions beautiful monsters? He would say no. Normal anger is part of the healthy, authentic, relative truth of being alive. There's healthy anger, healthy fear, and healthy attachment. Having an experience does not by itself make it a beautiful monster. Beautiful monsters form when there is some unhealthy distortion or disconnect, I would say, in our mind and feelings. And then we start to believe the version of that distorted or delusional story. We, again, on Saturday talked about death specifically with this should not be happening to me as one of those distortions. We understand intellectually, this is the cognizing, that everyone is going to die. And yet, then there are all of these other iterations of distortion and delusion. Why me? Why now? How come I got it? Couldn't be me because I'm the one who did the XYZ to avoid this, right? These would be considered parts of the beautiful monsters. Beautiful monsters are like ice. Their nature is like water. I love this line as well. We are always enlightened already. We are already available. It is right here for us. We just have a slight appearance and then sometimes a functional distancing from our truest nature. I think this is so important to remember because if we over identify with the beautiful monsters, we will not be able to tolerate them or ourselves. He also says that um, beautiful monsters are formed by stuck energy. This is very much in the Tibetan medicine tradition, that there is winds and flow. And he is saying that we have contracted around, locked up, pulled under, made small, buried, hidden, and then become frozen patterns and processes that often, well, always, I will say, will equal some kind of reaction, resistance, refusal when they are confronted. This leaves us essentially blind to the truth of ourselves and the truth of this human life. We're looking for the flow, the water. And then he gives us the one practice that I think we'll stick on, and then we're going to stop because otherwise I think we'll get overwhelmed with the amount of material in this chapter. We're going to break it up. Handshaking, working with our beautiful monsters. He calls this the handshake practice. I love this. Sharon Salzberg did a similar kind of thing in the Vipassana tradition. She'd make contact with a part of the body and then go, hello, friend. Hello, friend. Whatever that experience was, even if it wasn't pleasant. Hello, friend. So she took just a slightly different approach. He's saying we're going to handshake with this monster in these particular ways. He, of course, acknowledges it's simply a metaphor. How are we going to extend our hand, our friendliness? How are we going to not run away, refuse, fight, resist, or push under? Essentially, the handshake practice is to bring full awareness to our direct experience. The kind of healing can best occur when our awareness touches our feeling selves. I am not only using feeling to mean emotions. I am not. I am including all of that integrated experience that could be an emotion, could be a feeling tone, could be a sensation in the light of awareness within that integrated circle. We're going to call all of that healing material, not just emotions. Emotions are the amalgam of thoughts and sensations. We're going to regard them all in that available space. To actually transform, we need to make friends with our emotions. Otherwise, we can have temporary relief because we can have a shifted thought, but we still are operating from the same old assumptions and distortions, essentially. I am not worthy. It is shameful. I have to hide this. I have to bury this. I can't acknowledge, be honest, and ultimately cannot heal it. Facing feelings means feeling them. I love this line. So the truth. That one we're going to take with us through the week. Facing feelings means feeling them, not thinking about them. Dropping in, holding that body space, creating room, allowing the experience, both sensations, uh, subtler feeling tones, and the thoughts about them. We're just going to let thoughts be thoughts, not the direct experience. Handshake means being fully with the feeling. We're bringing the right attitude. We just talked about what that was. And yes, it can be true that the raw emotion can be new, can be unfamiliar, can be a little scary because it looks like a stranger. And then all strangers, Zonkini is saying, can look like monsters. And in fact, simply a part of our innate goodness. This is most important. All experience a part of our innate goodness. To be there, to be understood, to be friended, to be attended to be regarded, to become wisdom. And he gives some examples. I'm not going to talk about the obstacles today. I think we're just going to stay with, we're going to start there next time. Let's see what page we're on here. All right. We're going to talk for a moment. Get rid of that so we can see each other. Thoughts about this? There might be a lot of questions here or perceptions and certainly experience that you've had from the practice today and the practices we've done on other days. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts about this? I think we got a couple here.
Diane?
Yes.
You know, the meditation really inspired kind of a new inquiry for me because I'm dealing with a recurrence of an old injury and there's pain. And I was just sitting with that sensation and I realized that I have a belief that any illness, disease, pain in the body is caused by some emotional root cause or circumstance in my life that I'm not acknowledging. So I just realized how subtly I'm so quick to want to find out that information. You know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I'm sitting with a sensation that's uncomfortable, it's like, okay, oh
Yes.
boy, what's causing this? You know,
Yes. Interpreting. We call that interpreting.
yeah, interpreting or fixing.
Yes.
Really, I want to
Well,
get
interpreting to fix.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want it to be over. I want
Yes.
the pain to go away, whether it's emotional or physical.
Yes.
And then I was just sitting with the sensation of pain in my neck and shoulder and arm without any of that, because that was your instruction, not to
Yes.
fix, just to
That's
be
right.
with. And it was like my body said, thank you so much
Yes.
for just being with me. You know,
Yes.
just acknowledging me. We don't need to go scrambling the root cause and oh my God. And then so my inquiry is I wonder if there can be physical pain sometimes that's just there because you did have an injury. And
Yes.
maybe it's normal to have pain and maybe there's no emotional root cause.
Yes.
Anyway, this is my inquiry
Yes.
this week.
I love that, Siobhan. Thank you so much. I think you're saying exactly what I think we all can tend to do, which is make meaning out of something that may begin simply as a physical or physiologic experience. We often emotionalize it because we like it or don't like it, want it or don't want it. And it is true, Saucony says it as well, that our relationship to the body experience, right, can become sort of a confluence and like there could be emotional material there, well, because our patterns are our patterns. The way we handle unpleasant is very likely patterned. to some extent, isn't it? And knowing something about that, I fix it right away. I look for meaning. I understand, right? I go to, it's got to be gotten rid of. These patterns are beautiful, monsters, also to know them and not to have to fix those either. So I want to add that, because once we see our pattern, I think we can move right into got to get rid of that to get to the no, remember, I think they're all beautiful friends. So just seeing without having to now get rid of, fix, or change even that would be important. So watch it, because now that we, oh, insight, now I see what I'm doing with that. I'm going to stop doing it. Well, I don't know if that's first. The being with even that, I think, can offer you great wisdom.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's a huge distinction for me, which I could easily have gone and done that.
Yeah, now that
Okay,
I
well, let's
know,
get rid of that one now. Now we can just say hello, and that's enough, and
yes,
that's great.
yes, yes, thank
That's
you.
great.
Just hello, I love that. Can we just say hello? Wouldn't that be spectacular? I love the idea. And remember Sharon Salzberg's hello, friend.
I need to follow up with that because a couple of days ago I did something to my knee, and then I was supposed to go to well, I did, but I didn't know what happened to my left knee. However, yesterday I had planned to do a workout and then the yoga practice back to back, and just didn't give any mind to my knee, and the knee kind of healed itself.
I think Dennis might have gotten frozen. Does it look like that to anybody else, or is it just me? Okay. Yeah. So a perspective from Dennis on not having to overattend. I recognized what was happening. I kind of let it be, I think he's saying, and from the letting it be, it kind of took care of itself. This is great truth, and we will be more skillful, is the other truth, if we can just drop in on how we are, because we might drop in on the exercise and the yoga and go, not today. And that might be just right and most skillful, depending on the direct experience there. Well, this one, he's saying, I just let it be. I just started. I was open, receptive, and it sounds like caring and attentive. And then what could occur was, well, I'm all right now, which I love. And that could be a truth some of the time. It will not always be the truth. Sometimes you're going to check in going, and it got worse. And then my leg fell off. And then, right, I don't want us to move into this magical thinking that simply if we let something be, it always works itself out. I had a friend die from cancer from that very idea called let it be. Well, that's not called let it be anymore. That's called denial, resistance, refusal. We have to be watchful. What is it? Quality of mind. Am I really looking? Am I really in the body? Am I really paying attention? Can I be friendly to all of my experience so that I can act most skillfully, kindly, lovingly? The answer is yes, you can. And what? It's not always magic. It doesn't mean if I just allow, everything is better. So I don't want you buying into that. That's not true. Sometimes you better rush yourself to ER, folks. And that's exactly the right thing. So don't mistake it as, well, if we just let everything be, it all works out. I don't like simple solutions, as you know, a little averse to simple solutions. And I think we can also complicate life. Don't want to do either. So let's hang on. So you get what I'm saying.
I also had a friend who died from, she was elder, but she died from cancer, and she didn't take the treatment, but it was like conscious, she did not want to go through that. And yeah.
That's not denial, avoidance, resistance. That's a choice. And boy, I'm going to help you make one. And that might include doing nothing. But a choice to do nothing has nothing to do with denial, resistance, and avoidance. It's a highly embodied, highly regarded, held experience. They are not the same. Thanks for helping us make the distinction, Felicia, because no, they're not like each other at all. Great. Thank you, Siobhan. Just say hi. I like that too. It's why I actually included it today, Renee, because I like this hello friend to experience. It's just simple, but it's got a little invitation in it, like, hey, and we don't have to do too much. There is an old line from a Buddhist allegory, parable that says, say hello to everything, but don't invite it for tea. And I think that's somewhat humorous, which is open the front door, open the back door, invite it in, invite it through, but don't invite it for tea, means don't let that too then become a stuck point. I'm only this. Even when you say hello to something, can we stick around to see that no matter what we say hello to, also what changes, also is ever transforming, also is coming and going, that we don't just stick it down and go, this is it, to anything, because it's never, ever, ever true. Even when we go, my foot still hurts. Not exactly. Not the same foot, not the same sensation, not the same mind, and not the same heart holding it. Not. And experience like this right now. And then experience like this. This is our mindfulness practice, moment to moment. I'm going to read what Greg has to say here. In essence, this chapter seems to be talking about how to really practice unconditional friendliness with ourself, for sure. So much of my own conditioning was pushed down, like many of ours, Greg, for so many years. The emotions and feelings were held in a dark place, yes, rather than brought into the light of awareness. It is a slow process of uncovering them, it seems to me, yes, making friends with all of our feelings, even the ones we do not like. Exactly and exactly. I don't think there could be a better summary for the chapter than that. How to hold it in heart, hold it in the body itself. And that doesn't mean hold it right tight, not to tea, holding it in open space, offering some room, and holding it with a quality of mind that is inviting, that is regarding, and also, I guess we would say non-judgmental, non-resistant, because it is already here, correct? Already here. And so, hello, friend, might be one of our takeaways. That's informal practice, confronting it. You might even offer hello, friend, in formal practice, right? When we confront something that felt like that heaviness at the base of my belly, then I recognized a kind of fluttery, agitated sense in the heart space as well. Hello, friend. And then what? Creating space and warmth in room. And staying with it a little bit so that we can see what it has to tell us. What it has to tell us. Can we offer that? And this is Zonkne's version of the handshake, right? From his perspective, just like hello, friend, he imagined going up to the experience and shaking its hand. If you're someone who's a little visual, that experience might work really well for you, right? Which is, hello, friend, greeting it, walking up and shaking its hand. I'm not very visual, so that's not I'm more auditory. So for me, hi, friend works better. But if you're visual, you may find that the visual of greeting the experience, staying with it and in it, and shaking its hand, allowing it in, remember, to come in to be known, and then going out and through the back door without inviting it for tea, which means don't believe it's all there is. Don't believe it's all you are. Don't get stuck with it. There is another counter phrase, by the way, and then we've got to go. By the way, there is also the teaching, invite it in and let it stay for tea. Uh-huh. Yeah, Greg.
So because it's my habit to push it down, what I've kind of learned is that the bell for me is the suffering. So, and it's hard to say how long I might, be there for 10, 15 minutes or something anymore, and then I go, wow, I'm pushing it down somewhere.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I like this chapter because it's a little more specific and really identifying it, which is good, which is helpful.
Very much so. I love this chapter. Again, it's probably my favorite in the book. And I think we'll be using these practices for the remainder of the book because I think they're so useful and meaningful. And I think our own habits in our culture is to get busy and to push it away. And so we don't even push it down. We don't even make that sense. We are not very embodied as a Western culture. We don't even know what's going on in the body. We've just shoved it off somewhere. It takes a lot for us to get to our true body experience. But I want us to hang out, get friendly and familiar anyway, because it is there. In fact, it is there. The body, the beauty of the body, from my point of view, is that it cannot lie. It has no ability.
It's that tightness, you just feel it.
Yeah, it cannot lie. It can bury, it can hide, it can tuck it in for you, but it's in there, folks. It goes nowhere, even when you think it's left in Cincinnati or Cleveland or Philly or wherever you can. No, it isn't. It's right here in you. And by the way, it is in every cell. It is in every cell of you. And I love this because look at what we have to know to contribute to our wisdom, our healing, our transformation. It's in all of us, every single cell, every single hair, innately built for us to heal, And I love that. So thank you.
I think this
so
chapter
much.
is so much like Pema Chodron's work.
Yes, it is.
Getting it, like.
Yes, they are from the same tradition. And so you will just find some different words for a very similar thing. Zonkini is just a riot. So I'm going to send you the Beautiful Minds practice that he does on YouTube. I'll send you the link. He is a funny, funny guy. He makes me laugh a lot. I love that. And he's got very good English, by the way, so fairly easy to understand. I would recommend that you listen to his practice as well this week. All right. Good to see everyone. I think I see Chris there in the corner. How lovely to see you, Chris. You're on mute, but just know it's thrilling to see your face. I hope you're well. It's wonderful that you're here with us. Please come back. Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. This Thursday, 7 a.m. Greg, I think we're on. And on Saturday, we will be doing our calling of the names of our deceased beloveds. If you cannot be there, send me please their names. I already have a list of probably 50 names of people who can't be there. We're holding those others in loving presence by calling their name and ringing the bell. Those who are deceased, who are loved ones, send me their names to my text or my email. And please take the time to do it. This is the official Dia de los Muertos celebration this coming up weekend. Oatmeal cookies are going to be there because I've found a whole gallon of oats in my cupboard. They've got to go. And so there'll be oatmeal cookies to share. Yeah, can't find a spot for that oatmeal. There's like a gigantic bag. There are going to be a lot of cookies because there's a lot of oatmeal. And some raisins and other things will end up in there that I found too. This is my favorite way to cook. Can't wait to share it with you. Please join us Saturday at 7:30 here at my home garden. Anything else, Greg, before we sign off?
I'm back. I'm back.
Good, Dennis. Good to have you back. So sorry you got frozen. That's exactly what we were talking about happening to feelings. You did it perfectly. You did,
Yeah, completely out of my control.
yeah, that's the way most of it is, actually. That's how it works. Good to see everyone. Everyone
Love
be
to-
well, please.
Yeah, love to everybody. Love to
I will
everybody.
send a summary with the links, with the hi friend, with the staying with and abiding. Let's see how we do this week. I look forward to talking with you more about chapter 4 in Why We Meditate next week. We're going to still be on chapter 4. All right, everyone, be well.